Good morning. All right. Good energy. Welcome to Disruption Online Sales to the Optical Industry. My name is Mark Dolabany. I'm the founder and CEO of Dolabany Eyewear. To give you a little bit of background, thank you. I was 12 years old, and it was summer vacation from school. My older brother, who's in the optical business, said, you know what, it's time for you to earn your keeps. So he took me to work. I'm supposed to run errands, make coffee. And then we realized that the person that does repair is not there anymore. So I took over. I started repairing eyeglasses, replacing the hinges. In the old days, we had real old-fashioned multi-barrel hinges with rivets. So a broken frame in half, I'll put it back together. I use acetone and a nail. And I had to, you know, the old contact lens vials, the glass ones? There you go, some of you know. I used to create my own acetate from old frames and melt them with acetone and use them later when I need it. So later on, I got into other aspects of the business. I got into surfacing, and eventually I moved to the United States, and I settled in Massachusetts, and I became a Massachusetts licensed optician.
Go Mass!
All right. And then I started my own line of frames and designing and producing and distributing my own brand. And now that I do that, I actually use the same hinges that I used to repair as a child in my designs. That's as you can see in the photo. In 1999, we moved to Miami. We are based now in Doral. The reason we moved to Miami because we wanted to seek international markets, mainly in South America. The outline of the course, we'll talk about definition of disruption. And I don't think we have audio. We'll try it. We'll give some examples from corporations, disruptive corporation, and disruptive persons. We'll also talk about the future of Warby Parker. We'll move on to a segment called Johnny Be Good, time 3. And then we'll talk about choice or lack of choice. This is Jeff Nunberg. He's a professor at Berkeley. Business models are disrupted by scrappy, bottom-fishing startups. If you look around the internet and all the companies actually start up, they base everything on price. And that's a very true statement in our case, too. Sometimes you can get the world to beat a path to your door by building a crappier mousetrap if you price it right. Anybody here watch Shark Tank? Yes. There's somebody actually made a pitch using that. And he had some sort of device that actually had to do with doggy doo-doo. So it was a perfect fit. And he was very quick. You don't catch it if you don't pay close attention or if you've never heard this before. But this statement is accurate. So here's some example of disruptive corporations and persons. I won't start with Trump. I'll put that for a little bit later. Amazon.com. We all remember when first they started, they were selling CDs and books, correct? That's all they sold. Now Amazon sells almost everything else under the sun. And guess what? They don't own any of it. Amazon doesn't buy most of the product that they sell. They have sellers. Kind of like eBay, but a little bit different. It's actually a better model. Interesting fact about Amazon, right now they have distribution centers within 20 miles of 44% of the population in the United States. Only 2 years ago, that number was 26%. In 2 years from now, it could be 50 or 60. And the maximum they can reach is 80% because we have rural areas. Anybody here has Prime, Amazon Prime? There you go. You know now they have Prime Now. You're familiar with Prime Now? You get your product in 1 hour. They actually have foot soldiers in New York City taking the subway and walking around delivering product within 1 hour. So if you feel like you're having a Coke or a Pepsi and you don't want to leave the apartment, they'll bring it to you. They also have Amazon Pantry, where they deliver food. You're familiar with that? You know who's worried about that? Walmart. And of course, Macy's and all the other stores are all worried about Amazon and what they can do. That's disruption. Airbnb, anybody uses Airbnb? Where did you go?
Right here, right now.
Yeah?
Down from Raleigh, North Carolina, because my device is up
I go to Raleigh too. I do business up there. Airbnb, it's disrupting to the hospitality industry. The hotels now are worried about Airbnb. And the whole thing started by coincidence, you know. There was 3 guys living together who couldn't afford to pay the rent. So they started leasing their extra bedroom. And that's how the whole website started. You can rent somebody's couch, somebody's villa, somebody's mansion, or an apartment in any city in the world. Zappos, you familiar with Zappos? Anybody? Ladies? Shoes? Yeah. You know who owns Zappos now? Amazon. Yeah. Amongst other things, of course. So a disruptive person? Donald Trump. Now, I made this slide a year ago. I consider him disruptive. But now he's possibly the president. Right? I have another surprise for you. My jacket says Donald Trump Signature Collection. I just realized that yesterday. Actually, I have this jacket for sale. I think I might need it in case I get deported on Wednesday morning after the election. Uber. Of course, we heard of Uber. Anybody uses Uber here? Yeah? You used Uber to come from the airport, right? You know, it just became legal last year to be able to use Uber. Did you come in Fort Lauderdale? Yes. It wasn't legal. They were allowed to operate in the whole county in Broward, except at the airport. And they finally are able to operate there. Of course, Uber is disruptive to the transportation industry. We all know that. And then, lastly, is Warby Parker, disruptive to our optical industry. I want to talk a little bit about the power of a brand before we go on into the rest of the course. I travel up north. I travel to Raleigh. And every time I arrive there at night, I pray really hard that I have my chapstick with me. And you know, my prayer come true. Because I leave one in my every coat, I leave one in my briefcase, I leave one in my suitcase. But I never call it lip balm. I call it chapsticks. That's the brand. The brand is so powerful, it became the name of the object. Most people don't say, pass me a tissue, they say, may I have a Kleenex? That's a brand power. FedEx. FedEx is so powerful, it's actually a verb. We say, would you FedEx it to me? Right? And if you want to use UPS, you still say, FedEx it to me. That's a powerful brand. Of course, a car is only a car unless it's a Mercedes, right? Nobody calls a Mercedes a car. They only call it by brand. My company name was Best Image Optical. Some of you know it as that. And then our brand, Dolabany Eyewear, got so powerful that when we answer the phone as Best Image Optical, the customer pauses, and some of them would say, is this Dolabany Eyewear? Did I reach it right now? Some of them would hang up. So we decided to change the company name to Dolabany Eyewear because the brand has become more powerful than the company name. But I'm happy to report we can cash your check either way. I want to talk a little bit more about Uber because Uber is older, been around longer than Warby Parker. And we can learn for what Uber is going through or has gone through, and we can expect what might happen with Warby Parker, or I can call it WP. Now, they started off as a ride-sharing company, of course, but they're really a taxi company. We know they caused riots in France because the court ruled that they cannot operate in France, but they operated anyways. You know that they recently caused riots in India. They're actually not going to operate in India now. They're holding that off. So they are just very disruptive in a sense. In Miami, they just became legal to operate at the airport. So the taxi companies lost their protection. You know, you can spot the Uber drivers. Their cars are clean. They're courteous. They get you did they give you a bottle of water when you arrive? See, I've never taken them yet. Someday I'm going to have to take them, but I haven't yet. In Atlanta, they're still not operating at the airport. In Philadelphia, they'll receive $1,000 a day in violation. But they can operate in Pittsburgh. And the way they do it is they know that the consumer is the one in control. So they keep operating. They even tell the drivers, if you get a ticket, we'll pay it for you. Because they want to establish their brand. Because they also worry about another company called Lyft. Lyft is the one that has that pink mustache on the front of the grill. So they want to establish their brand power before it's too late. So they'll pay the violations. They might be losing money. We don't even know, as a matter of fact, because it's a privately funded company. In 2014, Uber was worth $3 billion. And that year, they jumped to $40 billion. That's in 1 year. Mind you, this is without profits. In 2015, they became $50 billion. When I created the slide a few weeks ago, it was $62 billion. And now it's $69 billion. That is more valuable than GM. But GM makes money. Uber doesn't make money. Or at least they don't tell us if they make money or not. They just received $3.5 billion this summer from a foreign investor. So obviously somebody knows something about what Uber has in its future. I want to talk a little bit about Uber Vision. Just this September, they started with their autonomous cars in Pittsburgh, of all places. They're using the Ford Fusion as a model. Now, some of you may say, well, what's the big deal? We probably have a lot of other transportation autonomous. But think of 1903, when the Wright brothers put a bunch of wood and cloth up in the air. And now, 100-something years later, we possibly, in 2024, we will be going to Mars and back. So this, for Uber, likely to be just the beginning. I was trying to get a feel for their vision, so I looked up, I did some research. They really don't tell us much. They don't tell us what they plan in the future. But when they released the autonomous cars in September, one of the engineers said something that kind of got my attention. He said that consumers will no longer need cars. So that means I get up in the morning, I get Uber to come over with no driver, pick me up and take me to work. I want to send the kids to school, I do the same thing. I put them in a car, perhaps has a code that nobody else can get in, and can be delivered to school and back. I can send a package delivery. There's a code on the car. The person who's expecting the package will know the code and be able to access the material inside. So I thought I'd talk a little bit more about their vision. And this is nothing they're telling us. This is what I'm thinking they might be doing in the future. Why? Because they're going to have the brand power. They bought a trucking company called Otto, O-T-T-O. And this is an autonomous trucking company. Self-driving trucks. We know airplanes can be self-controlled. We know that for sure. We can control them from the ground with computers. As a matter of fact, that technology is available, but they think the consumers are not ready to get on a plane that doesn't have a pilot. They almost put it in effect a year or two ago. Ships. In 2020, commercial ships will be on their own in the ocean. Uber also announced that they're working on vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. We know also you can have personal drones for $200,000. You can buy a personal drone. You put in your GPS coordinates, and it will take you wherever you're going. You don't have to know how to fly it or drive it or do anything to it. That is Uber Vision. And we also know in 2024, as a matter of fact, all the testing right now is getting done in Hawaii and by the US government. In 2024, we'll be able to go to Mars and back. Obama just signed that a few weeks ago. So that means I get up in the morning, I take Uber, or possibly I can take Uber because they'll be very powerful. I can take Uber to work, and when I go back, or if I need to get groceries, Walmart now is testing using Uber and Lyft to delivering their groceries because they want to offset Amazon. So I can order groceries if I want it, and Uber will deliver it. If I want to travel somewhere, I'll probably get Uber, airline. If I'm expecting shipment from overseas of merchandise, I can get it on Uber Ship. And if I want to go to Mars on vacation, I'll use an Uber spaceship. And if I have delivery to send to another state, I'll use Uber trucks. Now let's compare that to Warby Parker, which is a lot younger. 2015, they had value of $500 million. In 2015, by the time the year was ended, it became 1.2 billion. And we know they're not profitable. Again, because they try to build their brand power. What they do is they use OPM. Anybody knows what OPM is? It's a term popular in real estate. Yes? Other people's money. They take investors' money, they build a brand, they make it more powerful, they become more valuable, and they receive more money, more funding. And they turn around again and invest it. That's why they're opening stores, because they want to create a better brand power. Let's take a look. Is their valuation justified? They're also a private company, by the way. Well, their idea is they have simple prices. We know they do everything for $99. They provide convenience. It will come to your door. The product will come to your door. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it at night at home with your friends, if for that matter, if you're having a party, whatever it is. They move it into brick-and-mortar company. They're working on their brand power. What can they do? What can they do like Uber does? Well, they can move into the car business. They'll have 3 types of cars. Sports, 2-door sports, 4-door sedan, and SUV. Maybe 2 colors, red and black. That's it. That's 6 SKU. Because they have the brand power, consumer trust that brand, they'll just go online and order the car, especially when the cars become electric, where they need less maintenance. Now, beside the consumers, who else is going to want their brand? Dealers, car dealers. They don't want to miss on that. That's what Neiman Marcus did. They invited Warby Parker to come into their stores because they want to cash in on the brand. So dealers will have their cars as well. If my son or daughter are out to college somewhere, I don't have to drive their car over there, or they drive it. We'll just order it and have it delivered at the dorms when they get there. That's the brand power. The same thing can happen to mattresses. 3 sizes, 3 different firmness, that's 9 SKUs, end of story. As a matter of fact, there's a company now that sells mattresses. You know about it? Called Lisa, L-E-E or L-S-S-A. You can have the mattress for 90 days. If you don't like it, they'll take it back. And who they're going to use for delivery? Probably Uber truck. Washer and dryers. They'll make 3 sizes. Stackable for urban, mid-size, and large capacity. Maybe 2 colors, white and almond. That's 6 SKUs. And who's going to want it in their stores? Home Depot and Sears, because of their brand power. Of course, we can go on other items. Now, we know they are worth $1.2 billion. And I'm sure they already went up since I made this slide. So is $5 billion enough for what they might be doing in the future? Do you think it's enough? 10 billion? 50 billion? 53 billion like GM is? I want to talk about millennials a little bit. This is one category we seem in our business to ignore big time. Millennials are the age between 14 and 34. They're born into technology. Unlike their parents, they had to adapt to it. I mean, I don't think I see a 4-year-old or over that's not without an iPhone or a tablet of some sort. An 8-hour day, that's work day, they spend 1.8 hours on social media. So we know they're out there all the time. They surpass the baby boomers in numbers. They're likely to be 1/3 of the population in the near future. So we want to pay attention to that category of customers. I want to talk about 2 stores, H&M. And anybody heard of Primark? You will soon. H&M, my daughter now is 17. No matter where we are, no matter what city, Miami or otherwise, even a different country, she sees an H&M, she goes in and buys something. So one time I said, let me see what you buy. She bought a blouse for $10. I said, $10? Let's take a look at it. I said, what do you think of the quality? She said, oh, the quality's not there. So why would you buy it? She says, well, all my friends and I do the same thing. We buy it for $10. It's cheap enough. We wear it a few times. We wash it a few times. And then we just get rid of it and buy another one. That's the mentality of you millennials. They want things inexpensive and disposable. We also know they don't believe in home ownership, by the way, because they saw their parents losing their homes. Primark. Primark is a store from England. Their flagship is actually in London. They just moved into the US. They opened their first store in Boston. And they chose Boston because there's a lot of students from around the country, and they wanted to get exposure to the rest of the US, which is a good idea. It's like having ambassadors. I'll read you a few things about Primark. Their flagship store is 71,000 square feet. They receive 7 or more daily deliveries of new products. 7 or more trucks a day of new products. Their price tag can't be any lower than 5 feet because there's so much foot traffic. They actually have to put them higher. They actually have to hold people off from coming into the store because they have overcapacity. The biggest complaint they hear from customers is that we spend too much money. That's like me going to Home Depot. I always spend more than I want. Their prices don't end up with 95 cents or 99 cents. They're even numbers. The product is inexpensive. You can buy a dress for around $19, a pair of jeans for $15 to $19. And they don't advertise. Isn't that interesting? They use social media, and the way they do it, they use Instagram. They ask their customers to take selfies and pictures of each other and put them on Instagram to be voted on. And the followers vote, and the winners go on their big screens in the store, and that promotes the product over and over. Because they're attracting the millennials. No advertising. I know they're going to be opening 8 more stores in the US, and you know where they're moving to? They're moving into abandoned Walmarts and Sears, because they need large stores. This is another example of corporations trying to appeal to millennials. We all know ABC Family. They changed their name now. Now they're called Freeform. Isn't that odd? Freeform. The reason for that, they realize that millennials don't really care to hear ABC and CBS and all that, so they changed the name. Of course, the 700 Club is always there. You know that Pat Robertson, they can't get rid of him from that channel. No matter who owns it, he's there. You know why he's always there? Because he likes OPM, other people money. So what's the independent to do? We faced this before. Was it contact lenses? When contact lenses were created, especially the soft ones, we all thought we were going to go out of business. 1 Hour Eyeglass store, I remember when they started, everybody panicked. I remember it actually was in the late 80s. And then when the Price Club got into our business, everybody ran and tried to put lower price packages thinking that would be the solution. But we found a way to adapt. Each time, our industry adapts. Now we have an online retailer issue, and we have to adapt, and we have to evolve. Now, some of us say, and I watch this a lot on social media and conversation when I travel with my customers, say, oh, I can't believe the government isn't doing anything about this. I have a license, and somebody that doesn't have a license in the other state, they can steal my customers. What's the same thing with Uber? You have taxi drivers who have a license, but I can go to the airport and pick anybody I want and make the same money or somewhat similar. So where's the government there? I strongly recommend you don't wait for the government, because it's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, this is Chuck Schumer that put out a press conference in New York, and he was recommending to the Trade Commission to extend the life of RX. I think he was recommending it to extend to 5 years. And he's also recommended that the PD should be on the RX. One, you want to review your vendors list. You want to provide quality products. That's very important. And you want to keep your prices reasonable. Early days when I used to travel on the road, always the question is, well, can I get exclusivity for this brand? Can you not sell it to somebody else in the area? Can I be the only one in this town with this product? Well, now, some of us buying brands that sold down the street by the same people who are selling you the brand, that own the brand also. How does that make sense? If you want to be unique, you must carry a unique product. Every time there's a new singer or a new actress or actor that wants to put their name on a pair of on eyeglass lines, we grab it thinking that's how we're going to get more business. I go to stores. As a matter of fact, I was in Raleigh. You might know George. Specs. He doesn't have any of the mainstream brands. He has unique product, and he fits the customer. He tells them, I'm going to put you out of your comfort zone. I'm not going to fit you with the regular stuff. And when I'm there, people come in saying, you know, I got these glasses here last year. I'm due for a new pair. I'm so happy with these. Or somebody told me that I should come here because you have a unique glasses. And he's always busy, and he's always having customers coming. And he's not concerned about online sales. Because what he has is not online. He has service. And he certainly has quality. If you have a vendor competing against you out there, that's the wrong vendor. You tell me if you disagree. Now, take a look around your office. This is a photo from a museum in Massachusetts, Optical Museum. I don't know if anybody heard of it called Heritage Museum. I'll be there next week. If you have this in your store, and then your store belongs in the museum. You know, these are the ones that rotate and they have like 3 sides. I actually have a customer, I have more than one customer that has this. That's a museum piece. You need to update. We're talking about millennials now. These are your future customers. They're not going to want to see this. They want to see some LED lighting, bright colors. Am I right? You want to look at every aspect of your store. Another way you can get ideas is look at other businesses in the area. Maybe restaurants or other retailers. See how they do their decor. How they do things different. I was talking to one of my customers who said to me, our industry, our independent, missing the boat by opening from 9 to 5. He says, my community go to work before 9 and they come home after 5. How are they going to get their glasses? That's interesting to say, right? Most of us close at 5. So keep that in mind. Sometimes customers say to me, look, I just spent $100,000 and I decorated my whole office. And I don't think that's impressive. I think what's impressive is that you can do the whole thing for $5,000 or $6,000 and make it look good. I'm not talking about construction or permits or plumbing. I'm just talking about the decor. So this is an extravagant example for millennial appeal. This is actually the one on top there left. I think that's Warby Parker. I was in one of their stores in Atlanta, and the optician said to me, you don't have to go to the back half. It's the same as the front. That means they don't have a lot of merchandise. They just double the space to make it look big. And they don't have a lot of merchandise. They have very limited. By the way, something else about their product is a lot of their frames are oversized. Do you know why? So they can fit most people.
Actually, smaller. Well, I don't know when I got fitted, I got their frames, and it's too small.
They were too small for you?
Yeah.
I've checked out their inventory. Some of their frames are big. And you can see, when I see consumers around, I can tell they got Warby Parker frames.
Just eyeglass wearers make a big deal about, we got 1,000 frames on display at 10 each.
It's a matter of perception. So here, if you want to go extravagance, here if you want to spend $100,000. Here, look how simple and elegant this is. The one on the far right actually is, I put that in there because I have also George. He has a stool, a bar area. And you can see the customers come in for adjustment. It's like a fun place to come. It's a social visit. They're all happy. They are there. They're getting their eyeglasses adjusted. And that sometimes might lead the customer to come in more often because they want multiple pairs. They can't wait for their prescription to come out because they want a new pair of eyeglasses. Look at the one here on the left. I mean, if each one of these costs $100 or $200, that's $1,200 right there. If you have 5 of these displays, that's $6,000. The one in the bottom here on the left, I think that furniture might have been an older piece that got painted. You can use picture frame to create a display. And you paint different background color and that inside the picture frame. There's so many ideas. You don't really have to spend a lot of money to appeal to millennials. But at least get out of the museum position. You review your marketing strategy. Are you attracting the millennials? You know, soon, and actually now, we have the blue light lenses, right? And that's for millennials because they spend a lot of time on tablets and computer screens. So that's what you want to market. You want to attract that segment of consumers. Also use technology. If they're coming into your store, use a tablet for them to sign in. They like that. They feel connected to technology because they are connected to technology. I don't see the internet as an enemy. As a matter of fact, I see the internet the best way to grow our business. And later on, we'll have a class about that. Well, I will show you how you can use the internet to drive customers into your store, rather than think of the internet as an evil. Quick summary on what you can do with the internet, and we'll have more details on this in the course. Website. In the past, we spent money, maybe $1,200 or so a month on Yellow Pages. We don't have to do that anymore. I don't see Optical in Yellow. As a matter of fact, I don't see Yellow Pages, period. So now we can take that money and invest it in a website. Local directories, those are free. Most of you don't know that. A local directory is free. Google, Bing, Yahoo, these are the main three. I will talk about that in details in class. If you haven't signed up, if you don't plan to be there, please try. It would help you a lot, especially if you are an independent. Social media, that's also free. The only thing it costs is some time. If you don't have the time, hire somebody to do it. Videos. Every time you put a video on YouTube, even though nobody sees it, it brings up your ranking in the search engine when somebody's looking for eyeglasses. We know 70% of consumers are online, not looking to shop online. They're there looking for the stores in the area. What are your hours? Your staff qualification. What kind of product do you carry? What your reputation is like? Because there are reviews. Consumers leave reviews about you just like they leave reviews about their hotels where they stay. You want to be in control of all that. And most importantly, email marketing. Anybody here gets my emails on a monthly basis? Just one? Oh, we're going to change that. I send out emails every month. In one email, I will talk about my product. In the following email, I will talk about things that concern you, just like I am doing here. Email marketing is a great thing to have. You actually reach a consumer by phone. They are reading what you will try to deliver, the message you want to deliver to them, in the palm of their hand. So some of you might think, oh, I'm losing sales to the internet. But you really, if you do use the internet correctly, you'll actually increase sales. And I see it happen with some of my customers. But sadly, not all of my customers. If you go on my website, you go to the Marketing Resources tab. There, I would have videos. I actually have, this is a video of a course, of the same course I gave last year here, at this very stage. You can listen to how to exercise online marketing and drive customers into your store. You'll also see short videos and PDFs. This is all for free. And you can download the PDF and follow step by step. If you want to do local directories, it will tell you how to do it. Now, every time I talk about this or I give this class, some of the attendees think that we do websites. We don't do websites. I only produce frames. This is just me giving back to the industry and helping the industry. So I get these emails saying, oh, when can we talk about improving my website? We don't do that. Furthermore, if you want us to evaluate your website and see how your presence is online and the search engines, etc., we will do it. You can just write me to mdolabany@dolabany.eyewear.com and we will do it for you for free. And we'll give you the remedies of what you need to improve. And those remedies are in the class itself, in those PDFs. I do have a sign-up sheet. If you'd like to add your name to it, I will put you on my email list, and you'll receive updates. A simple update, for example, when Google makes changes, an update to their operating system and all that, the SEO companies start sending an email saying you have to upgrade, you have to do this, and you have to change your website. It is not true. It's a scare tactics for you to pay them for services that you don't need. I will send you that update. Anytime Google makes an update, I send you out a warning not to spend that money. And if they send out something that you have to update and change, for example, a year ago, they sent out a warning that if your website is not mobile ready, meaning it doesn't downsize to the device, to different size devices, you'll be dropped at the bottom of the list. And I sent out a warning to everybody to update their website. Now, we don't have much time, so we'll do this quick. We'll talk about how to build up your brand power. Pepsi. Here's a perfect example. Pepsi's advertising budget is $200 million a year. They took 20 million, which is 10%, and they decided to donate it to the communities, to different products, and split it over 12 months. When Obama was running for his second election, Pepsi received more likes than Obama did on Facebook, because people started connecting with the brand. As a matter of fact, in the beginning, they were worried they weren't going to be able to find somebody to take the money. They got involved in anything they can in the community. I have a customer who says to me, I asked him, what's the secret of your success? He has 3 full-time optometrists and 6 full-time opticians. He says, my wife and I always out in the community. Anything happens in the community, we are there. And he has a segment on the radio on Saturday morning for 5 minutes, every Saturday. I said, what do you talk about, optical? He said, not necessarily. Anything that's community related. You want to do the same thing. You want to try to find a way that you connect with your community. Be good to your employees. Google decided that to tell their engineers to take out 20% of their time and to work on anything they want with no rules whatsoever, except one single rule. They can't work on something that they assigned to work on. And this is how they have Gmail and Google News, etc. That allows for creativity. Encarta project, Microsoft decided in 1992 to put out encyclopedia. It's called Encarta. Some of you may have used it. Anybody used it? You used it. It used to be CDs and then became online, and you had to pay, I think, monthly or annual fees. In 2003, a new competitor came. A new competitor is based in the UK. They have 270 million visitors a month. It's a non-profit company. It's free for all of us to use. It has no advertising. It's advertising free. And they actually draw, their funding comes from donations, and small donations, mostly around $100. And the articles that contributed are by volunteers. They have 150,000 volunteers. Now, the founder was offered lots of money. The last time I remember, it was $50 million, and he wouldn't sell it. And he doesn't draw any money from it. He doesn't take a salary. It's completely nonprofit. Actually, he's a speaker. That's how he makes his money. Maybe I should talk to Mark Miller about this. It's available in 260 languages. It's credited for saving tribal languages around the world. Can anybody guess the name of the encyclopedia? Wikipedia. There you go. You've used it, right? Well, in 2009, Encarta went out of business 6 years later. Now, some would say Wikipedia is not perfect. It doesn't always have the accurate information, right? But guess what? Consumers voted and decided that Wikipedia is the one that needs to stay around, not Microsoft. By the way, if you want to know a little bit more about Encarta, you can read about it in Wikipedia. Be good to your vendors. I find now less and less people go into trade shows. As a matter of fact, this year we didn't do the Vegas show. We probably won't do New York show until a later date. We may not ever do it. Why is it important to go to trade shows? Because that's when you do your research and development. That's when you look around for new ideas, new lenses, new product, new frames, new companies. If you're not at the trade show, at least open your doors to the sales rep as they come into your store. When I go out making cold calls, the answer is always, we're not taking out a new line, or new labs, or new contact lenses. You have to keep an open mind. You don't want to find out about a new lens 2 or 3 years later from one of your customers who came in and said, oh, I got these from your competitor down the street. You want to be the first one to have it. So be good to your vendors and partner with the ones that actually have your interests at heart. I'll quickly talk about choice and lack of choice, actually. When we want to fly somewhere, do we have a lot of choice? I fly a lot. And out of Miami, basically the only airline there, or the dominant airline, unless I'm going out of the country, it's American Airlines. So I really don't have a lot of choice. But let's talk about coffee for a minute. You can have coffee at 7-Eleven, McDonald's. Actually, with McDonald's, you can sue them for a few $1 million when you have their coffee. It's too hot, right? Remember that? Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts is not very popular here, but it's very popular in other parts of the country. And of course, there's Starbucks. Who goes to Starbucks? That's a choice. You choose to go to Starbucks. There is a reason Dunkin' Donuts in business. There's a reason McDonald's still have coffee in 7-Eleven and all that. Eyeglasses are the same. Consumers have choices. They can either choose to come and see you as independent, or they can choose to go online, or they can choose to go to corporate stores. They have these choices. It's our job to help them make that decision and come to us. I'd love any comments that you have. You can write me on mdolabany at dolabanyeyewear.com. There's 2 things I really don't want to hear from anybody. Number 1, I've been doing this for 30 years. I must be doing something right. What you've been doing for 30 years will not work in the next 3 years. I promise you that. And number 2, thank God I'm retiring. Well, you know, you're retiring. Why? Because you had this industry help you retire. It put your kids through college and paid your mortgage. And what about the young generation that are coming along, the young opticians? Don't we owe them that to keep their jobs? So please don't tell me you're retiring. Or thank God I sold the business, I'm out of this industry. If you have any questions, or if you have a subject would you like me to tackle and put a course around it, please write me at mdolabany at dolabanyeyewear.com. Any questions? We're only 4 minutes behind, by the way. All right, thank you. Thank you.
You have to change with the times. So you could be doing something like, let's say, in business for 10 years and be doing really well. If you don't change with the times, you can go out of business. For instance, Blockbuster. Blockbuster was doing really good. They didn't change with the times, seeing that Netflix sent DVDs in the mail, and guess what happened? Blockbuster eventually tried to do the same thing Netflix did at the end and completely went out of business. Oh man, he's phenomenal. I mean, he has, over 30 years of experience, so, I mean, I'm being recorded. It's a really good speaker. I really did learn a lot. It's just a lot I have to digest.